has a very big role in this society. And that is something that we don't look at. We look at grades, we look at socioeconomic background and paychecks and what car do we use, but deep down, there's something else. I was telling this bunch of students today, when I met them earlier, saying that when you go to a mixer, which most lawyers do, you put your name and then you put a lawyer there or where you come from. But I've been to a mixer that I wore 3 labels, and all of them say Syed Azmi, Syed Azmi, Syed Azmi. I put there Syed Azmi pharmacist, I put there Syed Azmi. It was about, I wanted to become pharmacognosy. It means that you're specialized in plants. So Syed Azmi, pharmacognosy, and I put there Syed Azmi bathroom cleaner. Because I love to clean bathroom when I'm stressed out, I'll just brush. So it shows that I have that skill, very good skill in cleaning bathrooms. So every hotel that I go, like yesterday night, I went down and asked to see the housekeeping manager. And she came over and it was like 12:30 in the midnight. And she goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I want to say thank you to you for doing a good job. I love my bathroom. I don't have to do anything with it." But people forget to say thank you. And that's very important in this country. To build peace is not 20 ringgit a kilo you buy at Tesco. I keep telling people that. You cannot just say you want peace. You cannot just assume that it's rightfully yours even if you don't start from yourself. And yes, there's a list of all these projects that people have been talking about that I've been doing. But then again, you inspire me to do so. Because I believe that all of us actually have to do something to build the peace. And sometimes it can be late. Like a few days ago, I think there was a big hoo-ha that I give out Nescafe and gardenia buns over in KLIA too. The whole idea was, well, have you been in KLIA too? It's very cold, and then you have to wake up for about 5 o'clock flight. Wake up, you get very hungry, and it's very cold, and you cannot really afford anything. And there's nothing wrong about giving food. Why do we actually have to think that we only have to give to the poor? The word is not poor, the word is needy. It can be you if you got to bring your wallet today to pay your parking. Are you needy? Yes, you're needy. Do you think that others should help you? The answer is yes. Are you poor? No. Another thing is, who are you to judge whether you're rich or poor? Do they see your bank accounts? No. So these are the kind of small things that I do. Unfortunately, I cannot say what I do, but the things that I see that we have to correct. And all of you have the role and function to actually understand and do in your own way, culturally correct, that you think is fine. Like, I am very particular about buying gifts for my Chinese friends. From young, my mother would say, don't buy him a watch, don't buy her shoes. And I keep that because it's important to me to know. All these things can actually help to actually build peace. And it's important. I'm talking to a bunch of lawyers where I guess peace and all that is fine to make a better country, policymakers and all that, really, really important. I've got a few cousins of mine who are lawyers, and I always think that they don't like talking to me because I will just, I don't understand. The thing is, you want to fight for something, why do you have to fight? You want to bring out a point to say what's your point, and we all can agree to disagree. Maybe at that time, your point is not well heard, or maybe at the time, it's not ready yet. So what? Step back. Come back again. If you believe in it, step back, come back again. And it goes well to anything that you do. Long time ago, people taking art streams are considered a risk taker. Which is so true, yeah. Everybody should be taking science. I give you a small story that I shared with the panelists today. One of the things that I really wanted to do is to show people that skills are important. One of the skills that I really love trying to promote right now is actually, those artificial limbs, feet and hands, all of that. They are called prosthetics. And in Malaysia, their salary is only 900 ringgit. And you know where we get them? From the ones in Perak doing all those labu sayur. There's no certification, no degree whatsoever, but it's practice, practice, practice. He might say, Ahmad, bioengineer. But here, Ahmad, labu sayur maker, aka prosthetic maker, or orthotics. But it's important for our country. Why do we actually have to label? Why do we actually have to go for something big or things like that? We are who we are, and we are special in our own way. I am not an NGO. I am an NGI, non-government individuals. Which I really like, because I can do whatever I like. No, I'm still living with my parents, so I have to follow what my parents say. Because that's the whole idea why I do these things, because of my parents. My point here is to tell you that you have a role. It doesn't mean that you have to have a big group. It doesn't mean you need a big patron name. It doesn't mean that you actually have to have 5 digits of donation money to run a project or whatsoever. No. If you only have 100 ringgit, then do a good 100 ringgit project. I think that's much more important than saying that, oh, we cannot do because we have no money. So stop. Then just don't do it. People come and say, how do you start? What do you want to do? Is my first question. If we don't have money, we have 3 other assets that normally people forget. We have time, we have energy, and actually we have ideas. You cannot pay money with those things. Ideas, time, and knowledge. Money is the last thing. Money you can find when your project is really good. If you really believe in that cause, money will come in. I'm sure most of you have done charity one way or another, and you put it formally, yeah, I did that once a year. Why? Why do you have to say it once a year? You can do it every day. But if I can do it, and I call my project all as project, because I believe if people don't see it as something good, if I don't call it project. So if I go and say thank you to the cleaners yesterday, I actually have to write about it, because my PA says, you have to write about it, nobody does that, it has to turn into a project. And I said, yes, we have to teach the country that people have to say thank you. Which is true. Apparently, people have to say thank you. The reception was like, on what grounds, sir, what did happen, what did go wrong, this and that. And nothing goes wrong, we just want to see the cleaners. I just want to say thank you to the poor lady. So, I enjoyed coming here today to Malacca. Came yesterday, jam. And hazy some more. And I was thinking, okay, what can I do here? What can I do here? What can I do here? I cannot go out, I cannot see the road. And, hazy. And I was thinking, look inside. And that's where I found the cleaners. And I was thinking, like, no, not now. The general manager will see what's wrong with that boy. So I have to wait until past midnight. But you get the idea? We can do things. There's one project that I'm going to push through Mahadi later, because he's not here yet, I can say this. No, I talked to his daughter the other day, and it's about telling stories. It's about old folks telling stories. Because they're not Tone, but I have this project where the old folks are not redundant in this country, actually. They actually have stories, they actually have ideas that they can share. So, Marina said, call me, I'll call my dad, he has to come for this. Because she thinks it's important. And to probably to all my friends, they'll say, why go grandmother's story, why? Because they're not redundant. They are here for a reason. And we are here, I'm here to actually cultivate the reason why they're still here. To tell the stories, to inspire us, to make us better community. Because that's all we have. Have you seen the sight of our old folks' home? Do you think that you would say, somebody's got to do something, you are that somebody? I have to do now, because I'll be staying there probably. So I have to do now. I have to have that. The best one that I like is the 5,000 ringgit a month in PJ with water jets. I want that water jet. So it's 5,000 ringgit a month. So I said, no. We have to make it more. So when it's more in society, the price will go down to 2,000. Then I can afford. But these are the things that we should be sensitive about. Just because we are not there yet doesn't mean that we're not going to get it. But who is going to think about all this if it's not us? I'm a non-partisan, as everybody knows. I really don't read the papers because, yeah. And, but what I do know is today when I get up, I have a role. I have a function to be kind. I have a function to be nice with everyone. I have a function for them to show their best that they can do for the country because they have skills that I don't have. If I show them that it's a good day today, then probably they'll show their very best day to me too as well. That's more important. Yes, lame stuff like giving gardenia bread, maybe nothing. Fine, give Pachi chocolates. I'm not complaining. But just do with what you can, because you can do much more than that. This is why I love this topic today on peace. Peace is not just a word. Peace is actually comes from us. We don't have to label anyone. We don't have to. People call me like social activist, dog boy, and I don't know which one I like more, because it's not important to me. What's important is actually the action. What's important is somebody smile and makes their day. I see lots of mothers here today, and it always warms my heart to see ladies and mothers, because they actually have the same aim. They just don't have the time and space. So our job is actually to provide those things for them so that they're not worried about their children. So if that's not peace, then I'm out of here. Then this is not my case. Okay? I come here on my right weekend when nobody's around. I don't know anyone here. But to me, it's important, because we're Malaysians. And it's important that we have to maintain the peace that we actually have. This land, this country, is a land of abundance. If you don't know that, I'm telling you now, it's a land of abundance. Look at how many lane projects I've been doing, and people have been saying stupid, and they will say, okay, I wouldn't do it again, but I've done it. Because it's an opportunity. Because there's a way. Enough talking about it. There were times that I was so surprised to see that if we have a multiracial photo pasted in our Facebook, it's a big deal. It's like score. Long time ago, it wasn't even a question. Long time ago, it was like, no need photos even we know. I miss those times, don't you? But it's not enough by just saying it. It's not enough by just thinking aloud about it. We actually have to do something. So the skepticism and the negativism, let it be. Their time is not there yet. Step back, come back forward, stronger. Because that's the way to do it. I have so many things that I wanted to do. Like, I cannot wait to go back to KL later, because there's so many projects I have to do at 2 o'clock in the morning and 4:48 a.m. according to my PA. I have to be at somewhere at 4:48 a.m. And I'm excited about it, because to her, no, say, you have to do this project. I like it, we have to do it. And all I can think about is, yes, let's do it. I only have Medium with Facebook, and it's free, and everybody has one. So what's your excuse? If you say, no, I don't have Facebook, fine. You don't really need the media social actually to do it. Seriously, you don't. I only have that, because it's the only way that I get connected with my families and friends. And it's just a good way. Because I do keep my haters in my Facebook, which is weird, but they're my check and balance. If everybody is a yes man to me, then I wouldn't know whether I look fat or not. So the haters will tell me, you look fat. So I say, good to know. It's a good check and balance. Don't be so jumpy with everything that comes about in your life. Step back, listen, and come back stronger. So my job today, again, I repeat, is a good icebreaker to this wonderful 2 ladies who's going to talk about serious issues, and I'm very, very good. No, I mean in a good way. Now, I'm here to learn something, and whenever I go to talk, I love asking questions, because it's enriched me. So there's a few things that I would like to teach all of you today, which is don't judge. Don't judge. We don't like to be judged, so don't judge others. And remind you that everybody needs help one way or another. Okay? Stop using the word poor, if possible, because I don't know what poor means. I use the word need. If you're in need, I'll help you. Doesn't mean, no, he's not poor, you don't need to help him. I don't understand that. So with that, I will say thank you so much. Have a great weekend. It's a Saturday. Please relax and smile. Have a nice day.
Native Sabahan Erna Mahyuni is known for her frank She has written for both the mainstream and alternative media, including The Star, Malaysia Kini, Free Malaysia Today, The Malaysian Insider, and she is currently with the Malay Mail Online. Now, I'm very interested to hear what she will have to say about the role of the media in promoting peace. Warm welcome for
Hi everyone, thanks for coming. Right, I find it a bit funny they want to tell me to talk about peace when, like, Syed Azmi can attest, when the rest of you read the daily headlines, you feel anything but peaceful. Yes. Okay. Right. So it's also a little funny that Syed Azmi was talking about stories. And if there's one thing about journalists, our primary role is telling stories. Now, when it comes to journalism, a lot has happened in the last few decades. We started out as gatekeepers. Our job was to figure out what you needed to know and then spend the rest of our time telling you. But it's not that way anymore. This is the age of Google. We are no longer the gatekeepers of information because all you have to do is go to a website. You don't have to go to the library, you don't have to interview people. Information is everywhere. Now, then why do you still need journalists? Why you need us, what we do is we verify that information, and also we try to make it more accessible, make it easier for you to understand. So that is the new role of journalists. But what does that all have to do with peace? Okay, now I'm going to speak about a concept that seems very, very boring, right? The very essence of journalism is what is called the principle of, the very essence of journalism is the discipline of verification. Now that might seem very, very boring, but that is what journalists have to do on a daily basis. Verify, verify, verify. And how does that pertain to peace? It's very important. Now, I'll give you a very, I'm going to tell you a few stories, okay? So just bear with me. I'm not as cute and charming as Syed Azmi, but... Okay, basically when I was still working at Malaysia Kini, right? So I was on Twitter, as I tend to be a lot, and Khairi Jamaluddin, our current sports minister, he was the sports minister then, so he tweeted that the Bagan Penang rep had died of a heart attack. Right, so the first thing I did was tell the desk. Right, so Khairi says the Bagan Penang rep has kicked the bucket. So what happened? Do they immediately start typing stories, putting it up online? No. The first thing that my colleagues did when I told them was pick up their phones. Every single person, my chief editor, the deputy chief editor, the sub-editor, the head of the Chinese desk, the head of the Malay desk, that's all they did. They picked up their phones. They called their contacts. They did not take a tweet. A tweet was not enough evidence that the Bagan Penang rep had passed away. That is what they did. And it may seem something very boring, very, very matter of fact to you, but that is important. They didn't take my word for it. They just asked all their contacts. They called UMNO, they called the other reps to find out. They verified the information before we went to print. And that is how journalism is supposed to work. But, well, what happens when it doesn't work? When it doesn't work, very bad things happen. Now, thanks to a certain portal I will not name, right? So during the recent red shirt rally, the ones where people decided to wear red t-shirts for some reason or so on, which I still am not very clear about. Okay, so what happened was, apparently pictures were circulating on Twitter that purported that Nick Abdul of PAS had attended the rally. There were all these pictures of him in a red shirt, walking around Dataran Merdeka. There was one problem. He wasn't there. But it did not stop this one portal, which I shall not name, from tweeting that Nick Abdul was at the Red Shirts rally. Okay, and the sad thing was, none of the people from that portal had actually seen with their own eyes Nick Abdul. Nobody. So, whose brilliant idea was it to tweet that he was dead? One, so you notice, nobody verified. Nobody. So that's journalism 101 failed, ladies and gentlemen. Right. So what was even more embarrassing was when the public was doing our job for us, because immediately after those pictures were tweeted, there were a few members of the public who said, itu bukan gambar rally kan tu? What? Those pictures, these citizens, they said that these pictures were actually pictures of Nick Abdul at the anti-GSP rally in 2010. So, right, so it's kind of funny, and these pictures were actually taken by media. So when the public, people like you know media pictures better than media, something's wrong here, right? Okay, so, and then even anything that was bad enough, no. Even more embarrassing, someone actually tweeted Abdul. They even went to his Facebook page and asked him, "Are you there, son?" No, and you know what he did? He just took a selfie. Yes, I love the internet age. He took a selfie, posted it on Facebook, posted it on Twitter to prove he wasn't dead. He was traveling to Perlis, if I'm not mistaken. And this is the sad bit. Journalists everywhere, they were journalists. That portal had reporters. They had his first number. They had the number of his PA. They had the number of his press secretary. They had numbers of reps from PAS. They had numbers of Kelantan PAS reps. And none of the journalists in that portal had thought of calling them. So, that is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when journalists don't do their jobs. And that's dangerous. Because in this case, one innocent tweet could have hurt the reputation of someone, right? And it's not just a politician. It could be an ordinary person. Imagine if it had just been, an ordinary lay person. Someone who had been accused of being at the rally. Because for some of you, right, rallies might not have consequences. But some people could lose their jobs just by attending a protest. And this misinformation, this absence of verification, could actually hurt someone's livelihood. Okay, but then when it comes to peace, right, again, the whole peace and whatnot. It's funny, this forum is happening in September because it marks 10 years since September 11. Now, we won't go into the incidents of that day, but it was a rough time in America. But what happens when you use those emotionally charged sentiment and you use it in a really terrible way? When journalism fails, this is what happens. So 10 years ago, September 11, then US President Bush, he had a meeting with US media. He told them, in these trying times, now more than ever, it was the media's job to support their country in its time of need. And I'm going to tell you now, that is not the media's job. When it comes to media, the first loyalty any media has is to the citizen, not the country, not the government, not any politician. Okay? And its first priority is the truth. So what pushed it wasn't right. That's a simple bit. But what it led to was a few weeks later, after that meeting, he announced that weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, had been found in Iraq. And this was where one of the biggest failures in journalism happened. Instead of doing its job, what did the media do? The media failed to do their jobs and to ask the basic questions. What? Why? Where? Who? Who was saying that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? Where were these weapons? Who was saying this? And the journalists, you can hardly blame them because it's not like the New York Times to go over and ask, hey, Saddam, do you have missiles under your palace? You got to say that in that case, verification was difficult. But there are still ways to report in instances where you cannot 100% verify information, then you must not report it as fact. And that was the problem. The journalists from Fox Media led the charge, and whatever Fox does, I'm not really sure if it's journalism. Okay, so what Fox Media did was lead the charge, and instead of reporting it, because this is how you report it, President Bush has stated that there had been reports that WMDs had been found. That is simple, that is factual. There has been reports. But when you say there are WMDs in Iraq, that's stating truth that cannot be verified. And what happened then? Hundreds and thousands of people died in Iraq. When the Iraqis probably had nothing to do with 9/11, but they were just made the scapegoats of an incident to which this day we still do not have all the clear facts. It's been said that Osama bin Laden was the main mastermind. It was said that him and the Taliban were the primary forces behind that attack. And at the same time, even though he took credit for the attack, it is still something that to this day cannot really be independently verified. But there's one thing. The people in Iraq shouldn't have had to die because of something that had nothing to do with them. And what was even sadder, after that, after all the dust and rubble and Saddam had been killed along with his sons, and they searched through the palace, did anyone find any WMDs? No. To this day, there has been no proof, despite the reports which had only come from one primary source. And here's one thing I learned when doing my job. I once asked someone, how do you determine whether a source is reliable or not? This is how you can tell a reliable source. Someone whose best interests do not lie in not telling you the truth. And here's the reality. That kind of source is very hard to find. Because the reality is, whether it's businesses or governments or even the people you know, there are far too many people you know who would benefit from not telling you the truth. And that is why journalists protect their sources so tightly. That is why it is part of our creed that we do not reveal our sources. Because it is hard. It is very, very hard to find someone who will tell you the truth without it being something to benefit them. Yes, I know, very, very, very difficult information to talk about, especially after you had a big lunch, right? Okay, by the way, I love your food. I was in Jonglei Street like all day yesterday, and I can definitely verify your laksa's great. Okay. So, right. And, so backtracking from Iran, we're talking about an average Malaysian and information. Do you know how many times in the last few weeks I've had people asking me to verify something they saw on WhatsApp? My mother forwarded me. My mother, my sister, my brother is like, yes, I know it's my job to verify these things, but guys, please. So, okay, but what I'm trying to tell you, it's not just journalists. We can't do our jobs without you. We're not just sitting in our little cube cubicles, like waiting for information to come down from up on high. That's not how we do our jobs. Where we find our sources, where we find our information, is from you. You help us. You help us provide the information, and we help verify it. And we can't do our job without you. And you have to help us, and help us help you, because if we don't do that, you know what's going to happen? I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. I'm pretty sure that all of you have seen some sort of posting on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on Twitter, saying, oh yes, there's going to be rioting, there's going to be people dying, they're going to bring guns, it's going to be like how they painted the red shirts thing, that it was going to be May 13 all over again, all you Chinese stay at home. It was ridiculous. And as we know what happened, it was just really old people wearing red t-shirts. I don't know what it meant. Seriously, I was sitting in the office, and unfortunately I was working today, and all the reports and all the pictures, it's like, so that's what you have to help us do. Help let us know what's happening on the ground. Help us find out and help us use our own skills, because even though it looks like all we do is sit in front of our computers and make shit up, that's what some people think to do. I even had one of my colleagues, her mother said, "Berdosa lah jadi wartawan. Kerja kamu jual fika." Thanks, Mom. So that's the reality of it. There is a lot of information, but you have to realize, not all of that information is true. And how do you find out whether that information is true or not? That is why journalists exist, besides pissing you off. Okay, right. So on that note, what else? Okay, and then when it comes, so again, I'll reiterate. When it comes to journalism and the service of peace, the very tools and the very skills we learn in our job to help ensure that whatever information comes out is right, and that people are not easily misled by false rumors and stories. Man, I'm sounding like a BN cyber troop. Right, so that is what we're supposed to do. Okay? We are not, journalists, that's what we do. We find out information, we figure out whether it's true, and then we make it so you will want to read it. That's part of our job too, right? So, and we are nobody's tool. No government, no politicians, no bodies, no NGOs. The media, to work the way it is, must be allowed to do its job independently, with one loyalty only, not to stakeholders, not to advertisers, but to be beholden to nothing but the truth, and be loyal only to people like you. And that is how journalists must work in order to keep the peace. That is how we keep the peace. By by being the gatekeepers of truth. But at the same time, we have to understand, this is our job, this is our role. But we do not expect you to put us on pedestals, because sometimes it's very confusing. On one side, you call us liars. Kuda pakatan, if you're online media, you're kuda pakatan. If you're NSD or whoever, I'm sorry, you're like, Barwa Barisan Nasional. Okay, so it's either that, or you're expected to be on these pedestals, champions of truth and justice, speakers of truth to power. No, I don't do that. I go into the computer, I find my story, my editor sees it. Right? That's how it works. No, you must accept, we are doing a role. We are all ordinary people. And that's why you also have to understand, the media are people. Sometimes we make mistakes. But that's how you can help us as well. Like those enterprising Nick Abdul defenders. No one asked them to do that. But they felt that it was important that people knew the truth. And that's how social media has actually democratized how information is spread. So in a way, you're all sort of journalists in a way. You also have to understand that it's not just us. you too have a responsibility. And there's one advice I'm going to give you. Do not get all your news from one source. Because people are biased. You cannot remove that bias from people. So, I mean, at least in the United States, they're honest. You know, because Fox News is Fox News. Yeah, and then, so, but when it comes to information, don't just read the Malaysian Insider or the Malaysian Online or Malaysian TV, because they will tell you one side of the story. Okay, even though I know some of you are not incredibly happy with how the print newspapers are run now, but you also have to understand that they're going to give you certain perspectives that you will not see online. So I'm telling you, read all of it, figure out for yourself what you think about it. And then, when it comes to and then when you have to, it's not just up to us. It's not just up to us, because the media, we're people too. We are not tools. We're nobody's tools, right? But when it comes to the media and sources, vary your sources. Vary your sources of information. Don't rely on just one social media or one newspaper or one online or on one online columnist like me. Yeah. Okay. So just vary your sources, make your own decisions, and don't let one other person. No one other person should influence all your decisions on the thing, because it's actually your own responsibility. It's your responsibility as well. So next time you see some rumor on WhatsApp or Twitter, don't be so quick to press share, because you're not helping. Because if you yourself are spreading lies, how are you helping keep the peace? You know, when you accuse journalists of being sensational, of menyebarkan fitnah, etc., etc., you have to realize that you too have a role. So unless you know something is the truth, not some uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, girlfriend, so unless you can totally verify, or you know someone who can verify something is the truth, don't add to lies that are already out there. Right? Like, we've got a beautiful country. As Syed says, we've got so much potential. So much stories that are beautiful, and not just some politician says some sweet thing. There's a whole lot more stories and potential and wonderful things to share here. So when it comes to keeping the peace, sometimes keeping the peace is just about protecting the truth. And that's what we do. Well, thanks for listening to my ramblings on a Saturday. Okay, and now I'll let lovely Karen talk about the law.
Our final panelist for today is Karen Chia. She's a lawyer. I'm being a bit nasty here. She was technically my boss a little while when she was chairperson of Malacca Bar. She's a former chairperson of the Malacca Bar, former treasurer of the Malaysian Bar, and she's now the secretary of the Malaysian Bar and the Malacca Bar representative to the Bar Council. She divides her time between her mid-sized practice in Malacca and responsibilities as secretary in Kuala Lumpur. And in those slivers of time she has left, she indulges in baking and cooking. Yes, lawyers do cook too. We're not all vampires. And raising a precocious young teenage daughter. Warm welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I bid a very warm welcome to our fellow panelists, Syed Azmi and Erna. You've heard Syed Azmi speak about the role of humanity in respect of the law, in respect of the peace. You've heard Erna speak of the role of journalism in respect of peace. And guess what am I going to speak on? The role of the law in respect of the peace. Jason asked me to tell a few jokes, make it light, because, the law is a very heavy topic, But I'm a lawyer. Do I look like a comedian to you? Okay. So, the whole idea of advocating peace is to enhance the quality of our lives. We want to enhance the quality of lives through sustainable development. In order for us to have sustainable development, we must of course have peace first. And what is the role of the law in respect of having peace? In my opinion, the backbone of the entire structure of having peace in any nation in the world is really about two things. One is it's about the rule of law, and secondly, it's about good governance. So I'm going to speak in the context of the law and how critical it is, the rule of law is to every nation in order for us to achieve peace in every country. See, we know that there are so many misunderstandings and ignorance in terms of cross-cultural beliefs, practices, and religious beliefs. We try, insofar as the law is concerned, to adopt those principles of peace. We want to adopt those principles of peace so that we put it within the social, economic context, we put that within the political context. We want to implement the principle of peace so that we can actually have great governance, stability, and for people to be happy, for people to trust the system. And in order to do that, then, people are happy and there will be peace in the country. So I'm going to take you all through in the context of global peace, insofar as international law is concerned, as well as national peace, insofar as domestic law is concerned. People talk about the rule of law. What is this creature, the rule of law, right? I mean, really, everybody talks about it. The politicians talk about it. The NGOs talk about it. The lawyers, of course, talk about it. But really, what is this rule of law? Rule of law, to put it in a very simplistic manner, somebody's having a few drinks. Okay. Back to the heavy topic, rule of law. The rule of law, very simplistically speaking, is about equality before the law. That's number one. Equality before the law is where we want the government of the day, public officials, I want to be in that room. I think some of you are thinking the same thing too. Alright, we're going to start again. Rule of law, okay? Equality before the law. When we want equality before the law, there is the government of the day, the public officials, our individuals, such as you and I, as well as private entities. We want all these people to be accountable to the law, right? We want everyone to be accountable to the law. But by the same token, equality before the law also means we are all